Welcome back to JR Pro Shop Vids, everyone. Goots, professional photo bomber. Today we got the Next Factor from Storm. Asymmetrical Pearl, so we're bowling on 44 feet, tacket pattern. Already bowled league on it, pretty burnt up. And then we're gonna move over to the Fresh, our buffer pair that wasn't touched at all. And we're gonna see how 4 games of league affects the reaction of bowling balls. So we're gonna bowl a few frames here on the burn, and then we're gonna move over to the Fresh. And we're gonna throw all 3. We're gonna see what it looks like, all right? So Next Factor from Storm. All right, let's start with my feet on 30, and we'll aim at 4th arrow. Yeah, asymmetrical Pearl, really strong, starting way too far to the right. Let's jump over about 5 boards and see how it looks. We'll go with 3 left with our eyes, see if this is better. Swish zone. Okay, let's move back 1 to the right. Should be perfect. Oh, perfection. So this Hyperdrive Pearl works really well for me when the lanes have a lot of wear. Something like this after league, after 4 games. And it's got a lot of back end. Asymmetrical Pearl, it's got more differential than the Next Factor. So let's throw on the same line and let's see what the difference is. Very similar, but I feel like that one drives a little more down lane. It's got a little extra differential, a little lower RG. So I think it's gonna have a little bit more in the back end. Yeah, I think it's gonna force me a couple boards further left with the Hyperdrive Pearl over the Next Factor. So let's move 2 to the left, throw it one more time. I feel like that ball's stronger already. Move 2 to the left, missed my target slightly inside and it almost ran over the 8-pin, where the Next Factor was kind of like a swisher strike. So let's go down to the Phaze II Pearl, one of the most popular balls in the shop already. And let's see how that compares. Standing in the same spot where the Next Factor went flush. Phaze II Pearl, symmetrical, should hook a lot less. So I missed right with that last one with the Phaze II Pearl. And you can see how early it kind of dug into the lane and started hooking. So you can tell there's a lot of traffic going up the right. Let's try and move it in, keep our eyes a little tighter to the head pin. Got much easier length than these other 2 balls, just given it's symmetrical, right? It's not gonna rev up as early. It doesn't have that super dynamic core like these other 2 balls have. So symmetrical ball, it's gonna float down the lane a lot easier, right? And give you a little bit more pop on the back end. So that was really nice. Standing in the same spot as the X Factor, but you can tell it's got a little more length, a little more pop, kind of the same amount of boards covered on this condition. One more here with the Phaze II Pearl. Let's bump 1 to the left. So you can see how responsive that is to the friction. I missed that right again, and the ball just took off. So now you know you gotta keep it tight, especially on a long pattern after a whole bunch of games have been bowled. You really gotta keep that break point close to the head pin. Let's do it again. I'm a bum, keep missing to the right. Okay, feet in the same spot. Just move my eyes close to the head pin, right? And you can see how much better that reacts. The dry is unpredictable. Your ball's gonna check up and just curve, right? So in a long pattern, whole bunch of games, make sure your break point nice and close to the head pin, just like that. Let's go back to the Next Factor. And you can tell that it's not gonna have as easy length like the Phaze II Pearl does. It's gonna start up a little earlier, be a little rounder off the back. So when you really gotta move left and keep it tight, I would probably go down to the Phaze II Pearl or symmetrical Pearl. But when I gotta give it some area to the right, have it bump off the dry nice and smooth, use something asymmetric. All right, see, I got that one out to the dry. Phaze II Pearl, snap back right through the face. This one read it a little rounder. It didn't jump off it, kind of read it nice and easy. Got the 10 out late. So I think the Next Factor on this pattern will give you the most room for error. I can miss a little left, a little right, gonna hit the pocket. Phaze II Pearl, just a little bit touchy for this right now. Maybe another game or 2 and then the Phaze II Pearl. Got that one out the dry, kiss it off the dry, have it roll into the pocket. Yeah, I feel like this next factor kind of blends the two of these balls together, right? The Hyperdrive Pearl is just a mega back end ball for me. Nothing else hooks more in the back end than that one. Phaze II Pearl is long, but really strong compared to these two. As you saw in my last video with the Phaze II Pearl, this is the strongest one out of those three, right? But compared to these two, it's the weakest one, right? So you're going asymmetrical down to symmetrical. Phaze II is at the bottom end of this video, was at the top end of the last video. So just gotta make sure you know where your balls fit in your bag. All right, let's move over to the fresh. We got a buffer pair here that has not been bowled on, and let's see how these balls look. I think I'm gonna have a tough time striking. All right, Jungo here, halfway through the vid, about to move over to the fresh condition here. Last video, my question was, what was your favorite ball, current lineup and discontinued? This video, what's your least favorite ball? Current line and discontinued, your least favorite ball. You don't have to have owned it. What's your least favorite ball? Mine, Purple Hammer. Hate that ball. Hate it. Ban it. All right, we're back for part two. We're bowling on the fresh. No balls have gone down this lane at all. Let's stand in the same spot. Let's see how angular these balls are off the back end. Oh, that didn't really hook at all. As you can see, when a lot of traffic down the right, the ball kind of checks up in the mid lane where all the traffic's been and puts it on line. Let's move our eyes to the left. Yeah, it doesn't hook. Fresh conditions. Okay, this one's for Mark Buffa. Let's move to the right. To the right for Mark Buffa on the fresh. Mark is always like, boys, why are you always playing fifth arrow? Well, Mark, the ball's hooked too much, that's why. We're gonna play up 10 board here for Mark Buffa. Perfection. Slightly right of 10 board, but you get the idea. As you can see how different the conditions are. This is the same pattern. That one's got a bunch of games on it, maybe 15 games. This one's 0. And you can see how much straighter I gotta play on this lane. Kind of right up 10, but these balls are way too angular. I would probably start with an S2 or maybe an original Phaze II, kind of right in that area, right up 10 board, and then kind of creep in as the night goes on. Let's just keep throwing the next factor, and let's just play all over the lane and see what it does. That's so angular on the fresh. Really hard to use. Let's try and throw one a little up the back. Same spot, kind of right up 12, 13, but let's give it a little up the back rotation. A little more up the back release there. You can see how much more tame that is off the back end, but that ball still goes really far down lane, makes a nice violent move off the fresh back end. So definitely not the ball for a fresh condition, right? You need a little bit of mid lane wear before you can use this ball. It's gonna be hard to control. Whereas you can see over there on the burn after a whole bunch of games, it looked really nice. All right, Phaze II Pearl, kind of right at 12, 13, a little up the back release. Okay, I missed right, obviously, but you can see how violent that is off the back end still. And I'm getting a little forward rotation. These balls are just hard to control when the lanes are super fresh, like oil, clean back ends, right? These balls are made for when the oil is kind of dried up from the mids and the fronts, and you have a little bit more smooth back ends. Been with the Phaze II from where we were playing over there. Same exact thing. It just goes too far, right? You're too far left on a fresh long pattern. It's just gonna keep going to the right. It's not gonna pick up and come back to the left. Let's try and keep it nice and tight. Try and keep it nice and tight, right through the face. Really, really zero room for error playing that far left on a fresh long pad. You really gotta be further right. Okay, let's split the difference. Let's kind of play in between third and fourth. Okay, that looks okay. But you can see it's still not totally convincing. That's why you need about a 6-ball bag arsenal if you're gonna bowl in different conditions, right? If you bowl in the same pattern every week in league, you probably only need 3 balls maybe. But if you're gonna travel, bowl tournaments, different patterns, different oils, you definitely need about 6 balls. Because right now on a long fresh, I need a ball with teeth, with some surface that's gonna roll early, smooth, predictable, like an S2 or original Phaze II kind of thing. And then move into these balls later when it gets burnt up like earlier in the vid. So, all right, we're back from the lanes. So we did something a little different today. We bowled on the burn, which had about 12 to 15 games bowled on it already. And then we moved over to a fresh lane, which had 0 balls go down the lane until I threw one. And you could see how much different the balls react based on how many balls have gone down the lane already. On the fresh condition, the ball barely hooked from where I was standing on the burn. So we had to move about 20 boards to the right in order to hit the pocket. These Pearl balls are meant for burned conditions. When the lanes have already been bowled on a whole bunch, lots of games have been bowled, lots of balls have been going down the lane, that's when you want to use the Phaze II Pearl, the Next Factor, and the Hyperdrive Pearl, right? It just kind of depends what kind of burn you're bowling on, what kind of reaction you're looking for to pick which ball you want to use. So this ball has the R3S Pearl cover stock. It's a little bit of an older cover stock. It was on the Revenant and the Spectre a few years ago. So this cover is not as strong as some of the new covers that we've seen, like the TX25 on the Phaze II Pearl, the Hyperdrive Pearl. Those are gonna be stronger cover stocks, beefier cover stocks than this. And you can just see that on the lanes. When I got this ball to the right, to the burn, it didn't peel off super hard. It didn't check mark off the spot like the Phaze II Pearl did. It kind of rounded it off a little bit smoother. In that case, when you hit a little bit of over-under, it's a lot of dry boards to the right, and you got some oil down the middle. I think this Next Factor is gonna be really good. Vice versa, when you need a lot of pop down lane, you gotta keep your ball close to the head pin, then you use a ball like the Phaze II Pearl, because it's got a lot of kick in the back end. So Storm also says that this ball is meant for medium oil conditions, which is exactly right. We bowled on a fresh EJ Tackett pattern here, 44 feet, and it just seemed like it was a little bit too jumpy off the spot. A little too clean through the fronts, a little too much off the spot down lane. And then when we bowled on the burn here and we were at 4.5 arrow, it was absolutely perfect. But if it got any drier than this, we probably wouldn't be able to use it, be too strong again. So kind of when an oily, longer pattern kind of burns up, or on a medium condition pattern, when it's already kind of hooking a little bit more than usual, the fronts are hooking a little bit more, then you would use a ball like the Next Factor. So this ball really reminds me of the Dark Code. It's got that Rad 4 engraving for the mass bias. It's got nice, really dark blue coloring, and it's got easy length, and it's got really nice continuous back end, but not the craziest back end. And obviously it's still meant for a little bit of oil. Gonna get a lot of use in my bag. I feel like I can use this on a lot of different conditions after the first couple of games, whether it be short, medium, long, doesn't really matter. I think this ball is gonna come into play maybe in game 3, 4, 5, 6 on any pattern. And I'm happy to say I did make the RPI down in Reno at the end of the year with the regional points. So this bad boy, this ball coming with me for sure. They're gonna lay down a lot of oil. Got pretty new lanes there at the stadium in Reno. Stronger balls like this are really gonna come into play. And I don't think we're gonna really need any of the weak balls. So maybe a Phaze II Pearl will be one of my weakest balls that I bring. And I'm gonna err towards the Next Factor, Phaze II Pearl, S2, Equinox Solid, balls like that. Lots of oil, lots of good bowlers, tough patterns. Yeah, I think that's where this ball is really gonna come in handy. So let's get into our ball ratings. We're gonna go hook potential, 7.5, 1 point down from the Hyperdrive Pearl, and response to friction. How sharp does this ball hook when it hits the dry down lane? We're gonna go 8.5, another point down from the Hyperdrive Pearl. So just a slightly weaker ball and slightly less off the spot than the Hyperdrive Pearl for me. And shelf appeal, I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. Really nice, really classic look with the dark blue and the light blue lettering. But there's no colors, so just a very old classic look. Looks really sharp, looks really good. And so I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10 for shelf appeal. Stay tuned for rapid fire, everyone. You can really see all the balls side by side, one after the other without me yapping. And don't forget our promo code, Jungo Barks, shop.bufabowling.com. Go check it out. He's got absolutely everything. He's got all the new stuff right on release day. So if you need new rock, you want something new, check out his website. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next video.